Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Rollins here. I'm a licensed attorney here in Washington, D.C. I'm also licensed in the state of Maryland, practice primarily in the area of criminal law. Today we're going to be discussing possession of prohibited weapon in D.C. Now, this may be shocking to some people because some of the possession of some of these things seem like they're very commonplace, such as a slingshot. It may sound like it's very commonplace, but actually possession of a slingshot in the District of Columbia carries 1 year and/or $1,000 fine. Is listed in the code under 224515 A. I know I don't really need to tell you the code, but what I'm going to do is just kind of go over what possession of prohibited weapon is in D.C. And you'll see that the code as laid out in D.C. Code, again, 224515 A, lists a series of weapons that if you're caught with these weapons, you're guilty of the crime of possession of prohibited weapon. There's also a subsection B, and that says that if you're in possession of a dangerous weapon or some other weapons with the intent to use unlawfully against another, then you can also be charged with this crime. So let me just go over the first section on section A of that D.C. code that talks about possession of prohibited weapon. So in order to be convicted of possession of prohibited weapon in D.C., if you have a machine gun, sawed-off shotgun, a blackjack, slingshot, sand club, I don't know what that is, sandbag, I don't know what a sandbag is, a switchblade, you know what a switchblade is, metal knuckles, that means putting those things across your knuckles, or any other application or device that can be used to muffle the sound of a gun, you can be convicted of possession of prohibited weapon. So if you are in possession of any of those things, you can be charged with possession of prohibited weapon. Now, subsection B of that same section says you can also be convicted of possession of prohibited weapon if you have an imitation pistol, a dagger, a dirk, don't ask me what a dirk is, I don't know, a razor or a knife with a blade longer than 3 inches, and you have the intent to use unlawfully against another, and you could be charged with possession of prohibited weapon as well. So I know it sounds kind of strange, but some of those items that are listed there, because I don't know what half those things do either, but someone does. And if you were ever charged with something like that, our job would be to explore that. Now, what's the maximum penalty that you can be faced on the possession of prohibited weapon? Well, the maximum penalty for possession of prohibited weapon in the District of Columbia is 1 year and/or $1,000 fine. The exception to that is if you have a felony. If you had a prior felony or you've been convicted of possession of prohibited weapon in the past, they can actually charge this as a felony against you. And that carries a whole different ballgame because that carries 10 years in jail. So I hope that helps to describe what possession of prohibited weapon is in D.C. And what I want you to do is if you are charged with that, you contact our office. That's what we do. We fight those charges, and we'll fight until the end zealously for you. So contact our office and discuss your possession of prohibited weapon, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. Thanks for watching, and tune into our channel. Thanks.